I'd like to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Full Sail Hall of Fame Week, which I will be there. So thank you, Full Sail, for sponsoring this episode.
You're in the Hall of Fame.
That's me. Everyone, welcome back to Instagram for Friday.
That's right, it's Friday.
Yes!
Come on, I gotta do it. It's Friday.
I know, I love it.
I gotta do the yes.
Feels good.
Team-ups might be common for the Avengers, but when it comes to video game companies, they're a little more rare.
But two of the biggest names in the industry, Sony and Microsoft, recently did something that a lot of people thought would never, ever happen. That's right, they're partnering up.
What?
What?
What does this mean for the gaming industry? Are we gonna see The Last of Us 2 on the Xbox? Halo Infinite on a PlayStation, Adam?
Finally, the way it was meant to be played. Well, actually, Bruce, probably not. But it looks like they're gonna share notes with each other while some big new players are about to enter the gaming space.
Yeah, we even got a nice picture of Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida shaking hands with Microsoft boss Satya Nadella.
Where's Bill Gates?
I don't know.
He's
He's
in a mansion.
curing
in
malaria
Seattle.
somewhere.
He might be Batman. It's like the old saying goes, the enemy of Google is my friend.
So here's what they announced yesterday. The two companies are going to, quote, explore joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure to support their respective game and content streaming services. Lawrence, what the hell does that mean?
Translation, please.
Yeah, so this is where it gets weird because to describe what this means is hard because we don't know yet. They don't even know yet. But that means that Sony will be using Microsoft Azure for its gaming and streaming services, which includes, we assume, things like PlayStation Now, PlayStation View, and a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't exist yet because this is sort of a forward-looking agreement. There's also a chance that the new PlayStation could have cloud gaming capability or that they're going to work together on some sort of streaming service that both companies use.
Interesting.
We've heard a lot about Microsoft trying to do that in the past. Microsoft has a ton of cloud infrastructure right now, plus gaming expertise, so it makes sense that Sony would want to take advantage of that.
And then take advantage they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not just the cloud stuff that we're talking about. Nope, they're also going to work together in the areas of semiconductors. Exciting news. For some engineer out there, he's got a hard on. Anyway, where Sony has a lot of expertise basically in that field, and AI, which Microsoft has done a ton of work in.
In a statement, Nadella called Sony, quote, a leader in both entertainment and technology, and added that, quote, our partnership brings the power of Azure and Azure AI to Sony to deliver new gaming and entertainment experiences for customers.
Xbox boss Phil Spencer added on Twitter that he is, quote, excited about the opportunities ahead with Sony for us to pursue our mutual gaming ambitions and delight players around the world.
Oh, delight. That's such a weird word when you hear it from corporate types.
Yeah.
In that little bib.
So much delight.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Microsoft has talked a lot about integrating cloud computing into games in the past, like with Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's been a mixed bag, basically, to say the least, right, Lawrence?
Did they ever do that?
If the mixed bag is that it never happened,
Yeah,
sure.
that's what I thought.
I mean, they explored those opportunities, but I guess couldn't find a way to make it work.
They've been teasing it for years.
Yeah, they have.
But
Yeah, they keep throwing out the potential of it. I remember even back when the Xbox One launched agaest the PlayStation 4, I was like, don't worry about the Xbox One, we got the cloud.
We got cloud. There we go.
They keep
anywhere.
telling us the cloud's gonna make games good again, but the last 10 years has just been a big dumpster fire.
So for Sony's part, Yoshida said that, quote, for many years, Microsoft has been a key business partner for us, though of course the two companies have also been competing in some areas. I believe that our joint development of future cloud solutions will contribute greatly to the advancement of interactive content and mankind. He didn't say mankind, I added that.
We're going to the moon!
Our joint ventureship has invented this giant cannon. We'll fire somebody directly onto Mars.
Going to Mars.
Well, one guy is. He ain't coming back. Most of the wording was intentionally vague about what exactly they're planning to accomplish in this partnership. It mostly sounds like they agreed to do tech research together going forward, which is nice, and whatever they end up producing might not even be known at this point.
Lawrence, what do we get in the immediate future for this partnership?
Nothing probably from our perspective. I imagine this is probably going to build tech platforms that future services will run on.
What about cross-platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. Microsoft and Nintendo have been cool with it so far. Sony is not.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a weird move for them. They've been very walled gardens so far.
Even when they do it on accident.
Whoops. But it's a promising sign that Sony and Microsoft are being friendly. Or maybe more of an indicator about the current landscape of technology and how mega corporations are sort of staking a claim on the future.
Yeah.
It's probably no coincidence that they're buddying up right as some tech giants are starting to get into gaming.
Google made a big splash earlier this year when it announced a game streaming service called Stadia, which is expected to launch later this year.
Yeah, with Stadia, Google is threatening to bypass consoles entirely by letting people stream games on all kinds of devices. They already tested it with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Google claims they've got the infrastructure to overcome the dreaded latency issue.
Nothing will be better than on live, Bruce. How dare you?
I mean, I guess if anybody can do it, it's probably Google or Amazon.
Potentially, yeah. Meanwhile, Apple has announced its gaming subscription service called Apple Arcade. That's releasing this fall, and it's billed as having more than 100 unique games that are exclusive to that service.
Yeah, while it wasn't as splashy as Google's announcement, Apple's reportedly investing hundreds of millions of dollars to get exclusive games for Apple Arcade, so they're serious about this. We know that.
Obviously, those announcements were noticed by Sony and Microsoft, and they might might have prompted this all-new partnership. Does that make sense, Lawrence?
Yeah.
It does, but they're still going to be competitors in the future.
Yeah, of course.
They're going to release their next-gen consoles sooner rather than later, definitely before the fruits of whatever this partnership bear. So this partnership's not going to change that. We still got Xbox Scarlet, PlayStation 5, pounding it out in 2020 or whatever, I don't know. This partnership is especially interesting on Sony's part, considering that the PlayStation 4 has been the top-selling console this generation, and unlike Microsoft, they've shown a little less willingness to partner up on initiatives like crossplay. They're kings of the castle right now, but I do think it's awfully good of Sony to be forward-looking, see what the landscape looks like, and think that they might need a little more help going into the next decade.
Yeah.
You humble us.
But again, maybe Google has forced them to rethink that, them being kings of the castle at the moment, and Microsoft as a company is much larger than Sony. So maybe Sony executives felt like they needed some help battling the Googles and Apples of the world, at least for what's coming next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the tsunami known as tech gaming. I don't know what you want to call it.
Just like service everything.
Games as a service.
Yeah.
Everything's streamed, everything's service. So like an Xbox and a PlayStation, it's not a box. It's just an icon that you tap on your phone or that you run on your smart TV, and you have to pay your $15 a month.
It's a little scary when the trillionaires start to get into the thing that you've been building for the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. What's even weird is Sony's also been rumored to be an acquisition target by Apple. So maybe Sony feels like it needs a bigger buddy to compete, like Microsoft. Hey, Microsoft, we've been in the business for 30 years together. Why don't we become buddies a little more, huh?
If you make yourself an invaluable partner to a much larger company, then suddenly they have a vested interest in preventing you from getting acquired by a competitor. So maybe if Sony, with all of its semiconductor experience, gets into making AI chips for Microsoft, and then Apple comes sniffing around, Microsoft will help them fend off an acquisition takeover.
Another interesting part of the story that this is basically an acknowledgement by two of the top 3 console makers that cloud gaming is going to play a really big role going forward, which in many ways is directly counter to their existing model of making gaming hardware and then using that to sell us a bunch of software either on disk or through downloads.
Yeah, that's right. Microsoft has already announced its Project xCloud streaming service. Nice. And you assume that Sony is going to beef up its offerings in that area too.
And while the two haven't cooperated this openly in the past, we've been seeing more and more officials from each company call for them to make nice with each other, shake some hands, put out an olive branch, hug it out.
Pat each other on the back.
Christian side hug.
At the DICE Summit in Las Vegas, PlayStation's Sean Layden praised Microsoft and Nintendo and called for unity among game makers, and Microsoft has been looking to integrate Xbox Live across multiple platforms, including the Switch, right, Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, they're still companies, and they're gonna partner up to the degree that it's beneficial for them and doesn't overtly benefit their competitors.
Right.
So
That's right.
I don't know. To me, taking that mindset and applying it to this makes a little more sense because when you look at the next 15 years of the internet and entertainment, it is going to be all digitally delivered services, probably delivered and sorted through AI. So whenever you go to Amazon Prime or Netflix, an AI is going to decide what gets surfaced to you and how. That said, you don't want your services running on a competitor's platform because then you have to pay them every day. When it's Google or Amazon who basically run the internet right now, if your options for the next 15 years in the landscape of streaming are to just build a service that runs on what they have, or to build your own, or partner with a competitor to make a different service, that makes more sense than just cutting checks to a company that's much bigger than you.
That's right.
Because then they can just turn around and acquire you.
That's right. I think this is a good point to remind people that at one point the G.I. Joes and the Cobras, or whatever the bad guys, got together to fight off a common enemy.
Who?
Russians?
It was drugs. It was the war on drugs. It was like Reaganomics era. But yeah, it was really weird.
Oh yeah, the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Remember that? How'd that turn out?
That's pretty cool. Did they fight the drug cartels in like Mexico and stuff?
I think so. It was weird. But it was like just red powder. It was an odd episode.
So we'll see where all of this goes. As of right now, it looks like Sony and Microsoft have bigger battles to fight than their traditional enemies, each other, which is, I don't know if that's good or not. Everybody's battling over you, the consumer. They want your $15 a month so they can become trillionaires.
What kind of TV, microwave, or fridge will you be playing your games on? Let us know in the comments. Stadia.
Halo Savior.
Play Halo today on your Sibian. Hey, before we get out of here, I want to remind you guys that Full Sail University has invited me down to Orlando, Florida to experience their Hall of Fame week, and I'm going to be there.
That's unbelievable, Adam.
It's super exciting, Bruce.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, so while I'm down there, we're going to be doing all sorts of stuff.
Okay, all right, like what?
Well, there's a fortress we're going to check out.
Wait, hold on. What is what is the fortress? What does that mean?
Well, you're going to have to tune into the videos to find that out.
all right.
But I'm also doing a meet and greet with some of the students there.
Oh.
There's a ceremony going on, and there's going to be the Smart Lab opening, which is really exciting. And I'm going to be giving you guys my overall impressions and the experiences via vlogs here on the Inside Gaming channel and all of our social media links.
I'm gonna see you wear that graduation robe and the hat.
And me and Steven Spielberg, we're in a very small basket of people, but together we're honorary guests. It's real exciting.
So if you haven't heard of Full Sail University, this is a school that specializes in things like music, gaming, arts, and technology, and each year they induct 6 graduates into their Hall of Fame.
Like me.
Yeah, well, no, not you. The whole week will be packed with tech exhibits, speaker panels, and conferences.
Yeah. We've had a lot of experience with Full Sail in the past. I have friends who have gone there and gone on to get jobs in the game industry, music industry, and other places. So it's actually a school that I'm very much behind, and it's really cool that they've invited me as a guest. So I'm just also really excited to go.
You're gonna have a great time in Orlando, Florida. Maybe Disney World? All right. Well, either way, I know you're gonna be at Full Sail, hanging out with Greg Miller too, right?
Yeah, I get to hang out with all the cool guys. So if you want more information, please check the link below, and maybe I'll see you there.
Also, remember when DVD collections were so goddamn large they could tile the moon? We used to own a lot. Now there are landfills with entire sections dedicated to Toy Story on DVD. Games may have held out just a bit longer, but with improvements to internet infrastructure and rapidly shifting markets, physical copies are losing a lot of ground. Don't get me wrong here, streaming music